Now, 2020 was one of the most challenging years for Nigeria's economy as it slumped into a recession after the COVID-19 exacerbated economic downturn. Nigeria's central bank devalued the Naira 3 times in a bid to close a widening exchange rate gap between the local currency and the dollar. Our correspondent Phili Haza brings us a recap of the year from Nigeria's capital, and he explains how these multiple devaluations affected businesses and especially importers.
At the start of the year, Nigeria's currency, the Naira, was securely pegged at 305 to the US dollar, the same exchange rate for 3 years. But in March, as the government enacted a countrywide COVID-19 lockdown, the central bank unlocked the peg, knocking 15% off the Naira's value. Overnight, the Naira tumbled from 305 to 360 per dollar.
In January this year, we had some level of stability, but then the pressure came when COVID came and complicated our problem. Before COVID, we had some issues around, oil prices, going down. And so that further put pressure on the Naira. The CBN at that point had no choice but to devalue because the pressure was too much. The spread between the Naira and the dollar was increasing.
Devaluing the currency was a way for the central bank to try and converge the official exchange rate and the black market rate, which often experience massive spreads. But the weaker currency spelled double trouble for businessmen like Henry Ekwenugu, who import luxury goods. Not only were imports halted during the 3-month lockdown, but the softer Naira cut into his bottom line.
Because the exchange rate have gone up, do you understand, the margin will reduce. We're not going to maybe import by the kind of pieces that we always do. It make us to maybe to reduce the quantity. And if we're importing, we'll be feeling scared because we don't know maybe our customer, the people that are using it, are be able to maybe to afford to pay the kind of money, the way the exchange rate goes up.
By the third quarter of the year, the pandemic had put Nigeria's economy under even more strain. Oil prices, which account for 90% of the country's foreign exchange earnings, continued their slump. To relieve some pressure, the government gradually allowed for the reopening of businesses. But that did not have an immediate impact on the Naira. By August, the Naira was trading on the black market at 480 to a dollar, forcing the CBN to devalue the currency for a second time from 360 to 380.
We are saying, even if the currency is overvalued, shouldn't we go through a stepwise process where the shock can be less felt than where those who are supposed to know how this works begin to create panic in the market by saying that the exchange of Nigeria is 480. It is very unfortunate.
The move strengthened the Naira slightly and helped it trade below the 470 Naira per dollar mark on the black market, even as the CBN supplied more dollars from its foreign reserve. But in November, the country entered a recession, and according to experts, with the nation's foreign reserve averaging $35 billion throughout the year, it was not enough to reduce the pressure on the Naira.
As long as we keep defending our local currency using our foreign reserve, we can only get far and no further. Most countries across the world, they have well-diversified economy. So even when COVID comes to hit them, they still stand a very good ground to move because all the sectors of the country or their country move. But for us, once oil sneezes, everybody catches cold.
By December, the CBN had to devalue again to 390 to a dollar as the local currency went down to 500 per dollar on the black market. But as global economies reopen activities and increase their demand for oil, the price is slowly beginning to appreciate and the Naira is steadying at around 470 to a dollar at unofficial markets.
As long as the oil prices continue to rebound on the global market, that may be good news for the recovery of the Naira against the dollar, good news for the country's foreign reserve, as well as good news for businesses who deal on imports. Phili Haza, CGTN, Abuja.